The worst is like I didn't even go there with it. I've complimented a guy's car, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "It's a fucking crazy Aston Martin." Like I can't say nice car, and he's like, "All right," and you're like, "All right, man." Like that's,
Sorry, I take it back.
That is the fucking ultimate level of insecure. If a guy can't take a compliment on his property,
Right?
Like you can't even take that, dude.
Dude, that's the car Daniel Craig drove in the new Bond. I think it's cool to see it in person.
Yeah.
That's also like the whole fucking point of having a car like that.
I mean, or at least like you don't want to say, "Yeah, man, it's fucking. You should drive this thing." Like something. It's fucking nuts.
Right,
The
right.
Guy's like, "All right, okay, man."
People are such assholes. You're a big car guy, right?
I mean, it's funny. Like once you do things on the internet, you realize what people, how they say, what level you are of that.
Oh, yeah.
so, like,
Absolutely.
I like cars,
Right.
But since I can't fix them, people are like, "You're not a car guy."
guy. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love cars. I love driving cars. I like going to the track. I like all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go to a track and you own several, I would imagine.
You have no idea how many people go like, "Do you change your own oil?" I'm like, no. And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I have money."
Yeah.
Yes.
Pay people to do that.
You don't
Right.
sell out theaters, right?
Yeah,
you think I
yeah,
changed my fucking oil? These hands haven't gotten dirty in a decade.
Yeah, man. Are you fucking crazy?
all that shit, though, yeah.
If I was an MC, I would be paying someone to change my oil. Yeah.
that to me, like, that went out the window a long time ago, being able to do shit.
I think you're a car guy if you can drive a
stick shift.
A manual.
Yeah, are you a manual?
I think if you know it's called a manual.
Are you an asshole about it?
No.
Yeah, like
you want to know? I'll tell you a secret because we're like in a real safe zone here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love driving cars, like always, right? I love sports cars and exotics. I didn't know how to drive a manual into my late 30s.
Yeah.
And I fucking found a place. I found a guy on Yelp who was like, "I'll teach you how to drive manual."
On Yelp?
On Yelp.
The review
Yep.
thing?
I just like manual. He had a business called like Learn to Drive. And like I went to meet him. He's like, "What do you like?" He's like, "Most people do this because they're going to Europe or like India." Like for a job,
Like the last places
and
that
they're
do
like,
this.
they only have manuals. I was like, I just ordered an M2 competition. I don't know how to do it. And he's like, okay. So I learned at like 38.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I went through all the shit that you would probably go through at 16 if you were learning a manual at that age. I did it at like stalling at fucking stoplights. People being like, "What the fuck?" Like behind me.
You're in this fucking unbelievable car,
And
right?
then but I just kept doing it, and then
Yeah.
now I'm addicted. I just ordered my third one yesterday.
When I was a kid, my dad would let me shift. I mean, like a kid. I was like 7.
Yeah.
So I would just know we had like this shitty Nissan, and he would obviously be like hitting the clutch and all that. But I knew how to do it at that level.
It's rad. It is once you get. Like,
I could
it's
see
fun.
it feeling pretty cool.
It's fun.
But also, I'm like, also if you're buying Aston Martins and fucking BMWs and all this shit, I don't really give a shit about driving like my Nissan in, as an automatic.
Oh, yeah,
what
you
I mean?
don't have
It's like
to,
I don't want to be working at it when I'm just like going from point A to point B.
Yeah, but once it's like high performance shit, you feel like you're in a fucking race car.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's fun.
I had a buddy who had one, and it's like growing. Like his first car was manual, and he was such an aggressive driver that like I think that's probably the only time I've ever been in manual. Like and. I would, in order to make a point, because I'm passive aggressive and kind of a pussy, I don't say things out loud unless you look beautiful. And he was so bad driving it that I would make sure I leaned forward and went back every time.
Just to be like, you're a herky jerky asshole.
And every single time we just get in a scream match in the car. He's like, you gotta just sit back. Like I'm like, dude, you gotta just drive better. And it just be this, just rock the entire time.
It does make you really, really upset if you're driving a manual and someone's like, you're like, I'm not shifting.
That's not that.
hard.
Yeah.
Dude, I would be kissing the dashboard. I'd be one of those wobbly birds.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, it's fucking fun though. Here's the thing, like not even if it's manual, if you just have never driven a wild performance car, automatic even, and you get into it, you'll be like,
You feel it.
oh, if you're driving it,
Dude, I mean,
people will be like, why would you get this? I'm like, have you driven something like this
Yeah,
before?
because you can feel the difference. I mean,
You're
growing up my
I
whole
drove
life.
a $30,000 Audi. Like,
Yeah,
no,
you're
no,
like,
it's
you don't
not,
get
it's
it.
not the same thing.
Yeah, I had, growing up, we had like some minivans for a while, some Nissans, regular shit. And then my family, we got an Acura, like a TL, just like the sedan. And even that, I'm driving it with like my big toe, just like barely touching.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I'm in a fucking spaceship, and it had those, like, the big white like headlights, so it was like,
Dude.
we went from like broke ass cars to that, and I felt like I was, in a spaceship. So I can't imagine an actual.
I took a
performance
crew.
car.
I took everybody. I have this Vegas deal that I do every few months at the Mirage. So I had like 6 people out there. I took them all to dream racing, including Nadav, who is my producer at YMH, and he's only driven a Honda Civic in his that's
Wow,
it.
that's it.
And I put him in a Porsche 911 GT3, and I was like, "Take laps, dude." And he was like, "Oh, man." Scared.
Can you, if you go to one of those tracks like with zero experience, whatever, they'll just hand you the keys?
Well,
Or you
with an
gotta, like-
instructor.
Okay, so
Instructor in the passenger seat.
but you're driving.
But you're driving, yeah.
That's fucking.
It's super fun, man. It is.
Yeah.
It's like a life. It's a fun experience.
Do you sign? Is there like some sort
Yeah,
of?
you sign like a
it-
death waiver.
Yeah. But if I were to do that and like fuck it up, is it on me, or is there also
No,
like insurance
it's all
that covers
covered.
it?
It's all covered.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's always been my thing. I'm like, I would love to get on a track.
Do
and
it,
some of that
dude.
shit. Yeah.
Do that. Do it.
Because I
Vegas is
drive
a
like an
great
asshole.
place
I like
do
to
it.
drive like fast. I like to drive aggressive.
The funny thing is, like, when you learn how different that driving is to what you're used to driving on the street.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're braking way later than you think you should. You're pointing. You're like, I'm gonna hit that. And they're like, No, you
Now
won't.
you're gonna- yeah.
It's fun, man.
Do you, when you're driving like your cars, do you ever get, and I guess this kind of speaks to the Aston Martin dude earlier, like, do you get annoyed with people getting excited about it?
No.
No? See, and this is obviously a ridiculous comparison, but like when you have a dog and someone's like, let me pet it, let me talk to it, I want to like, what's it like?
Oh.
And you're like, dude, I don't want to talk, I'm just walking my dog right now. I don't feel like having this
No,
conversation.
I'll have the conversation sometimes it's quick. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm going in. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll tell them like what was done to like all the modifications. And then I'll just like walk into the place. But I'll never like, excuse me.
Okay.
What's like your baby, your crown jewel?
Right now, I have this GT4, a Porsche GT4, that I sent to this guy named Rick DeMon up here, who's like a racer.
Yeah.
And like he tuned it, he bore out the engine, made it a 4.5 liter engine. He shortened the gears.
You know.
He made the gears shorter.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking rocket
Did
ship.
you know this shit ahead of time?
That he did? Well, I heard about.
I mean, like, did you know, even all this terminology and all this shit? Like, when you were a kid growing up, you never had them. But
No,
did you know about
not
them,
as a
or
kid.
you just got
No,
into it?
no,
once
not
you
a
got-
kid. But I
once you got
always,
rich.
I knew about like places that tuned cars. So I was always like, I want to do that if I can ever get a car and tune it. I wanted
Right.
to do that because I was like, you mean they make that car even crazier?
Right.
Like, that's what I wanted to do.
I'm learning about that right now.
It's fun.
This is my
This is
moment.
our lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if you got money, what would you like? Enough money to get like a, just blow it on a car? What would you?
I wouldn't. I'd call Tom and be like, "What kind of car
Yeah.
should I get?" I wouldn't have any idea how to get a car.
Just get a Porsche, dude.
It's a Porsche.
Yeah.
See, but I call it a Porsche because I don't. I'm not on
you're
that
not
level.
a Porsche
Yeah,
guy
I'm not a
yet,
Porsche.
man. When you own a Porsche,
When
you
you're
can say
an
Porsche.
owner, you say Porsche.
That's the first page of the manual.
That's like the
pronunciation.
Now you can
So,
say
yeah.
at the end there.
No, they're all, like there's so many amazing ones, right? Like just like it's what you like, it's what you gravitate towards. And the only way I always tell people, because my friends will know that I like cars and they're like, "What should I get?" I'm like, "Dude, do the test drives.
Yeah, you find
Don't do it off of like the photo. Drive the car, because if you drive like 5 to 10, let's say performance cars, there's gonna be one you're like, this feels amazing to you. That's the one you should get.
Do you drive it when you test drive a Porsche? Not there. Do you do it like on a racetrack or do you just on the
Nah,
streets?
they don't usually let you do. I mean, there's like. I really feel like I'm like an auto journalist today. There are a
To
couple
the average
places.
person, you know how many there's gonna be like car guys out there who are gonna be so fucking annoyed about this.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
No, but like, for example, Porsche does have this thing called the Porsche driving experience. So there's one in LA, there's one in Atlanta. So you can go and actually drive that car on tracks for a day, right? But that's not like a sales thing. That's just supposed to be like an experience.
Experience, yeah.
But most of the time, no. Most of the only place that I got to drive a car insane on roads was I was on the road in North Carolina. And I was like, hey, I want to check out a Porsche. It was a 981. It was a Cayman. And I thought they were going to do your regular, where they go up to this light, make a right, and then come back. And this guy was like, all right, we're going to like go off on these side roads here. And I was like, for real? And then we're on like windy open roads. And he goes, punch it. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yeah. And I'm like I'm like on a bend at like 100 miles an hour. He's like, there's no cops out here, man. I was like, all right. And I took it back to the dealership, flew back to LA and
bought it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess like a real test drive lets
I thought you were gonna say, Germany or fucking.
No,
somewhere
I
in
wish.
Europe
No,
where
most
it's
of the times,
you
like
know.
in LA, it's the worst because in LA, you pick up the car on like fucking Doheny and Beverly, and they're like, go up to this light,
It's,
stop,
25 feet.
take a
stop.
right,
Yeah, that's
go up this. Don't rev it too loud. There's neighbors here. Okay, and then you drive it like 100 yards, and
I
they're like, do you
see-
like it? And you're like, I don't know. Like,
I see.
I don't like the neighbors, that's for sure.
There's Lamborghinis like actually around here in this neighborhood. I've seen a couple times, and it's just like, well, for what?
well, this is a
man?
terrible city to
The
like,
worst.
have a crazy performance car.
That's so stupid.
why would you do it?
The only time on right on the Hudson River on the West Side Highway late at night,
Sure.
you can whip, and then it's cool because you're like on the river, you see the
Yeah, yeah.
bridge. It's like a couple miles, and that's it.
But your
Like,
day to day shit.
No, never.
it's
And parking in
terrible.
garages and
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and they're, like 6 inches from the ground. So any potholes, anything.
I have friends here who have like their garage fees. I'm like, what?
Oh, it's
Like,
nuts,
just
man. It's nuts. I got in. I parked right by the garden, and I got in during COVID for $400, and that's like the deal of a life.
Yeah.
I drove a fucking Fiat like a gay ball because they did a deal where it was like if you lease a Fiat right now in New York City, you can also get parking for $99 a month in a garage. Which the garages near me at the time were $750 a month.
Yeah, that's what I was
So I was like,
hearing.
this
I was
is
like,
a
oh my
major
God.
fucking like discount. So I just drove around in my little Fiat.
This is why most of America is like, I could never live in New York. This is
Yeah,
so-
no, it's crazy.
But they also people come to New York and they'll come and you'll show them a good time for a weekend.
Yeah.
And they'll leave and they'll be like, man, I couldn't live like this. I'm like, dude, I don't live like
Right,
this.
right, I'm just-
I
yeah.
was showing you a good
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like, I'm not out till 4 a.m. every fucking night.
No.
Like,
But you were for a while, probably, right?
There was
Not
well, you
really.
because you came. Well, how old were you when you came here?
well, when I first came here, I was 21. And
That's-
then
No, but like the second time around when you like lived
Second time
here.
around, I was 27, 28.
From where? Where'd you move from?
Boston.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, not that.
When I
drastically
was-
strange.
At my peak of drinking and partying, 24, 25, 26. Yeah, we would be out till 3:30.
Yeah, my sister.
No good
My
reason.
sister lived
No
here
fucking
for like a decade. My older sister did, and I would come visit, and I think it coincided with the fact that Sex and the City was on the air. That like all the women of
every
that
girl.
age were like, I'm going to live like that,
Yeah.
regardless of my income.
I was gonna say
And then
nobody
she
can live
left
like that.
New York, and she was like, "I have like $60,000 in credit card." I was like, "What?" And she's like, "All I did was like go out every night and just put it on cards." And I
Yeah.
was like, "You're at," but I mean, I get it, like looking back, but she was like always dressed incredibly.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fake ballers out here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
you cannot you have to have a lot. You have to have a big job, big paycheck.
Yeah.
To live in like a nice apartment on your own and go out and dress nice, like
It takes real money.
I mean, there are
Yeah.
times I'm like, we're doing pretty well now. We're almost 15 years in at Barstool, like one of the early fucking people. And I'm still like, when's that paycheck coming in? I gotta pay these bills. You know what I mean?
Jesus
It's like,
Christ,
it's
man.
insane. Yeah, no. Like when you're like, yeah, I'm on my, fifth car. I'm like, fuck! I drive a Hyundai, Tom, least.
Well, to be fair, it's ninth car.
So Tom
Where do you
just
even
came in
put
from.
these, Tom? Where do you even put your cars?
Well, I have lifts in the garage.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
Fuck!
but this is a fucking real asshole move. I'm going to tell you.
Oh, God.
I'm actually having a thing built where when you'll drive up, the ground will open and the cars will go down into a garage. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So fucking stupid.
But
and
the only
gratuitous
reason-
and awesome.
The only reason I'm able to do that is that I'm doing the Hulu Theater.
All right, the holiday season is approaching. All I want for Christmas this year is YouTube subscribers.
Please.
We got to get to 100,000. I want that
Please, sir, can you buy
100,000
these
plaque.
subscribers?
We've got a goal for all you out there, for everybody. At 100,000 subscribers, Polly Feidelberg will join us on the show. Maybe. Well, if not, we'll probably have to trick her into it. But at 100K, you will get Polly content. So subscribe, click the bell icon so you get notifications so that you're always watching. Leave a comment below. Talk about it. Post about it. Spread word. Tell your friends. 100,000 subscribers on KFC Radio for Polly Feidelberg. Let's make it happen.